Kalau melihat kepada Akta Kanak-kanak 2001, adakah kita terlalu lambat untuk melihat proses untuk meminta
Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera, anda bersama saya Nabilah, Khaleeda dan ini Niaga AWANI. Seperti biasa pada jam ini kita akan berikan laporan berita bisnes kewangan dan juga ekonomi. Jadi kita mulakan dengan perkembangan berikut. Kementerian Pelaburan, Perdagangan dan Industri METI menyasarkan jumlah perdagangan meningkat 5% pada 2025 daripada 2.879 trilion ringgit dicatatkan pada tahun lepas. Menterinya Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz bagaimanapun berkata, jika terdapat tarif yang dikenakan oleh Amerika Syarikat atau sebarang langkah baharu daripada negara lain, ia akan memberi impak dan Malaysia tidak boleh menafikan hakikat itu. Ujarnya secara objektif, apabila MITI membuat unjuran, pihaknya perlu bertindak cepat membolehkan unjuran tersebut disesuaikan. Sama seperti Bank Dunia, Tabung Kewangan Antarabangsa IMF menurut Tengku Zafrul, mereka akan sentiasa menyemak semula unjuran keluaran dalam negara kasar KDNK atas sebab geopolitik, geoekonomi dan sebagainya. Tengku Zafrul berkata walaupun sasaran itu lebih rendah berbanding pertumbuhan tahun ke tahun sebanyak 9% pada 2024, 5% masih merupakan pertumbuhan. Bagaimanapun disebabkan cabaran dan andaian dibuat dalam unjuran tersebut, katanya MITI menjangka pertumbuhan akan sejajar dengan pertumbuhan KDNK negara iaitu antara 4.5% dan 5.5%. Beliau mengulas perkara itu pada sidang media mengenai kad laporan MITI 2024 dan prospek 2025 pada Isnin. Mengenai perjanjian perdagangan bebas FTA dengan Kesatuan Eropah EU, Tengku Zafrul berkata kedua-dua pihak telah menyambung semula perbincangan mengenai perkara itu dan minyak sawit tidak lagi menjadi isu. Beliau berkata pihaknya telah menangani kebimbangan tersebut dan hakikat bahawa Malaysia telah mematuhi piawaian itu. Bagaimanapun terdapat bidang lain yang perlu dipertimbangkan sebelum Malaysia dapat memuktamadkan FTA tersebut. Pada masa sama, beliau mahu memastikan situasi menang-menang dan lebih lengkap dari segi digital dan hijau. Kementerian itu mahu memastikan syarikat Malaysia bersedia untuk menyertai dan memanfaatkan FTA. Jika tidak, mereka tidak akan dapat melihat kesan positifnya. Beliau menyasarkan penyelesaian FTA Malaysia-EU pada tahun depan. Pada sidang media, Tengku Zafrul turut membentangkan pelaburan digital yang diluluskan iaitu sehingga suku ketiga 2024 berjumlah 64.8 bilion ringgit berbanding tahun penuh 2023 yang mencatatkan 60.5 bilion ringgit. Dari 2021 hingga suku ketiga 2024, pelaburan digital diluluskan yang dilaporkan oleh Lembaga Pembangunan Pelaburan Malaysia MIDA dan Perbadanan Ekonomi Digital Malaysia MDEC sebanyak 209.5 bilion ringgit dengan 4,704 peluang pekerjaan diwujudkan. Pusat data menyumbang 145.4 bilion ringgit atau 69% daripada pelaburan digital diluluskan. Sementara itu, pada sidang media sama, Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz kekal komited menjalankan tugasnya sebagai Menteri MITI sehingga penggal senatornya berakhir pada akhir tahun ini. Ujar beliau, tahun ini juga adalah amat penting kerana Malaysia adalah pengerusi ASEAN. Selain itu, MITI juga katanya sedang mengurus penyertaan Malaysia dalam Expo Dunia dengan Pavilion Malaysia di Jepun. Dalam masa sama, Malaysia turut berdepan cabaran geopolitik yang semakin kompleks. Sehubungan itu, beliau tetap komited untuk memastikan petunjuk prestasi utama KPI yang telah ditetapkan tercapai, menangani cabaran semasa dan bekerjasama sebagai satu pasukan dalam kabinet. Malah beliau serta anggota kabinet baru saja menghadiri sesi pemukiman kabinet dan semua pihak bersemangat untuk menggerakkan agenda pembangunan negara dengan sokongan penuh daripada penjawat awam. All right, moving on, artificial intelligence, AI, is no longer just a futuristic concept, it's a workplace reality. Employees worldwide are embracing AI to streamline tasks, enhance productivity, and focus on more meaningful work. And according to Freshworks' global AI workplace study, a staggering 92% of employees want to automate parts of their workday. And in Malaysia, the government's 60 million ringgit investment in AI development and education under Budget 2025 signals a strong commitment to advancing AI adoption. As businesses rapidly integrate AI-driven tools, the focus now shifts to how employees can maximize these advancements to improve efficiency and also career growth. And with Malaysia's digital economy evolving at an unprecedented pace, how is AI reshaping the modern workplace? So to help us unpack, joining me on the line right now is Simon Ma, the Managing Director, Asia at Freshworks. Good morning.
Good morning, Nabilah. Very happy.
All right, Simon, firstly, AI adoption among employees in Malaysia is accelerating, and beyond efficiency, what fundamental shifts in work culture are driving this change, and how can companies ensure a smooth transition? Please.
Yeah, so I think you touched on a good point. The AI adoption in Malaysia is really taking off, and we see a few key areas that are fueling the shift. As you mentioned earlier, the Malaysian government has been very proactive. And they have rolled out strategic initiatives with the aim to triple the AI workforce by 2025. So we had the Malaysian Digital Economy Blueprint, the AI Roadmap, and now even in the Malaysia, the most recent budget, 50 million ringgit towards AI education. So I think that is really exciting for Malaysians. There has also been a significant influx of investments from global tech leaders. This about $16.9 billion worth of investments just from the key tech players like Amazon, Google, Oracle, and Microsoft are really building infrastructure over here and making Malaysia a tech hub. And on the other side, though, there is also something that has been fueling that growth on the ground. AI has been democratized. It is very easy for someone who has no background in IT or no background in AI to really leverage AI and be much more productive at work. And that has been the shift, one of the key reasons why there's a shift in the way organizations are starting to look at, hey, how should I structure the role? How should I transform the team makeup? And what's the best way to position my company to be much more competitive in future? 79% of Malaysian professionals we talk to believe that AI will be impacting their role in 2025. But also 59% of employers that we talk to realize that they want to hire more AI-related roles. So there is a lot of opportunities that are shaping out because of these investments. There is also a reshaping of roles that we see, that will occur across all different industries.
And of course, AI is here to help and not to replace human intuition. And Malaysia alone has allocated about 50 million ringgit for AI education. But we want to know, is formal education alone is enough? And what alternative learning methods, such as micro-credentials and also boot camps or mentorships, can actually accelerate AI literacy, in your opinion?
Yeah. So before we touch on that, maybe I would like to talk a bit about what AI can do and what AI will not be able to do, and where is the humans' position in this. I think you touched on a good point. AI is here, and AI is here to help us to automate the unwanted task so that we can focus a lot more on the meaningful task. And a lot of organizations are talking about it, and we hear it a lot. Hey, focus on higher value work. And what does that actually mean, right? Tasks that actually require critical thinking, strategic decision-making, and complex problem-solving, right? Essentially, work that drives a much more innovation and impact for organizations is what AI is allowing us to do, because AI is very good at automating the repetitive task so that we can focus on these areas. But what AI will not be very good to, or rather humans are much better at, is tasks that involves complex problem-solving, strategic vision, as well as high emotional intelligence. And this is what we are seeing is driving that trend. And of course, because of that, there is a lot of increased productivity as well. And essentially employees that harness AI today in our survey, we've seen that they can free up 3 to 4 hours of productivity time in 1 week. Because AI is helping us to automate a lot of the mundane tasks like data entries, basic customer queries, or even the routine admin tasks. So not only does it help us to be much more productive, it also helps us to drive work-life balance, job satisfaction, because these employees that we surveyed are saying, hey, I now have more free time. I can use it to coach some of my newer team members. I can use it to manage my time with my family as well better. Yep. And this helps with talent retention. So it's really changing the expectations that employees have on employees as well. So that's also causing a shift. I think not only the employees having a mental shift, I think employers also are having this mental shift as well. And therefore now, imagine if your employees have more mental bandwidth because they have more free time away from the tasks that are being automated. They have more mental bandwidth to help you to look at areas where they can drive improvements and impact and help companies maintain a competitive edge.
But like you mentioned, AI is meant to enhance productivity, but I believe there's an underlying consequences there, which some studies suggest that constant AI monitoring may lead to increased workplace pressure. So how can companies ensure that AI enhances employee well-being rather than adding stress? Simon.
Yeah, so I think that's a very, very valid good point. While 84% of most Malaysian employees and you and me as well, we all see that AI is a productivity booster rather than a threat. But like you rightly mentioned, it is very important to have the right culture and the right setup in organizations and with ourselves in order to make sure that AI becomes something that empower us and not paralyze us. AI is a journey, right? And with all new journeys, we have to foster a culture of constant learning and development. So what we always try to encourage employers and employees to do is understand that this is a journey of continuous learning, because the impact of AI might not immediately be realized at the start. We might not exactly know where are the areas of improvements because this is a journey. So imagine if your employees are having more time and they're freeing up 3 to 4 hours a week, and they're starting to look at projects and starting to look at ways to improve the organization. Some of this impact, we might not know where they're going to come from. So we have to be agile and we have to foster that culture that allows for this continuous learning and development. Keep employee skills fresh by helping them to invest in continuous learning, regular workshops, online courses, simple things like this. So this constant learning helps us to understand AI better. How do we use it at work? And then it doesn't become this pressure for organizations as well as the individual. I think it's very important as well for organizations to keep a open communication channel, keep taking in feedback, understand what is working on the ground and understand what is not working. And that constant feedback then feeds back into that agile and flexible organization that I was talking about. Because you need to be flexible and responsive in order to quickly adapt to new projects or new technologies and shifting markets. Right. So generally, that's how we advise the companies that we work with on how do they build that better culture for the employees.
And since the AI evolution in Malaysia is still a progressive stage, if you compare it to global AI leaders like the US and also China, where does Malaysia stand in AI readiness, and what policies or perhaps investment could help bridge the gap, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I think there is AI that would be cutting edge, and there will be also AI that companies would use. So if I look at in Malaysia's context, there are a lot of SMEs here. And generally, in today's market, there are already a lot of AI solutions that companies can take. Solutions, for example, like Freshworks, who focus on trying to boost productivity and uncomplicate the whole software usage so that organizations can be much more competitive and they can create that better employee satisfaction. And that's where I feel most of Malaysian organizations today are embarking on. The early adopters of AI today are already having a 42% better productivity rate. And what we are seeing is that there are a lot of employees in organizations that have built up deep deep industry experience over the course of the time they work here. And what we realize is organizations that can leverage and harness AI to help these employees unleash the potential of the knowledge that they have, the deep experience that they have, to drive change within their organization, that has been really creating the impact. So if you ask me about the earlier question about AI advancements in different countries and where really the innovation is, where is Malaysia in this curve, I think it's important to realize that AI is a technology, and not forget that the deep industry experience that each of us have, having worked in I worked in our organization's industry for a long time, that is really important, because that experience is what AI cannot do.
And as AI continues to advance at a very rapid pace, I mean, what strategies can employees actually employ to stay ahead of the curve in this dynamic digital transformation landscape?
Yeah, so I think both employees as well as organizations as well. Like I said, it's a culture of constant learning. It's a journey. And often the challenges that employees and SMEs have is we don't really have the time, and we don't really have the resources that's needed to upskill ourselves, or for SMEs, spending the investments that's needed to upskill workers. And this is where I feel that in the coming year, or in the near future, the Malaysian government will be definitely rolling out a lot more initiatives to help SMEs to train and to build up the skill sets of the workers as part of all the strategic initiatives are being rolled out. I also encourage each of us to embrace AI, tinker with it, and not only experiment on your own. There are a lot of forums online, or networking sessions, or sharing sessions that usually held by the leaders in the technology space. That's all around in Malaysia, and I would encourage everyone to join and embrace it.
And perhaps before we end this session, could you briefly enlighten us how critical is the skills gap in the workforce in AI right now, and what ways should Malaysian companies prioritize AI training and also upskilling initiatives to effectively bridge the existing skills gap right now? Simon.
Yeah. So if I look at it, AI has been democratized because of the explosion of Gen AI over the last 2 to 3 years, and a lot of the AI solutions out there are actually catered towards people or people like you and me who may not have a very strong AI or technology background, and that would be really meaningful for organizations to take. The curve is actually not as steep as before, and I'm sure we have all experienced it, using ChatGPT or Gemini in our own daily lives. AI is definitely here to stay. It can make our work more meaningful, and it can help companies be more competitive. And I would say, as technology evolves, we need to be prepared to adapt to practices. It's going to be a very fast-paced transformation, right? The world is going to get more complex every day. But I think businesses need to embrace a fresh approach and that makes and let AI make the work easier, not harder. And part of that, employers should focus a lot on reskilling. We should look at the organization and the employees and see how you can provide career progression, employee engagement as well, and build trust in AI-powered workspaces. So one thing that organizations have also done is to integrate AI with strategic workforce planning. And I believe that Malaysia is positioning itself as a leading digital economy. So one where both businesses and employees can thrive in this digital age. So I'm pretty excited for the future.
We have about 1 minute left. May I could ask, we are moving towards a HV, high growth, high value nation, also economy as a whole. So how does this AI in the workforce can actually help move us towards that, in your opinion, Simon?
Yeah, so agility. So the most, I would say the most impactful thing that AI can deliver for an organization is agility. So take an example. Early adopters of AI that we surveyed, they're getting 42% productivity gains. So imagine a 42% productivity gains within your organization. That competitive edge is undeniable. And for anyone who's looking for high growth, looking towards high value work, that productivity gains will then allow us to leverage our mental capacity to really drive and think about the innovation and the impact that we want to deliver. So at a fundamental core of it, that's AI is harnessed properly. That's the kind of power that we can deliver to organizations, to the economy, and to ourselves as well.
Indeed, the future belongs to those who embrace change and also evolve with the technology. And the AI-driven workplace is no longer a distant vision, and it's happening now. So thank you so much to Simon Amar, the Managing Director, Asia at Freshworks. And you can find this whole discussion on all of our social media platforms, and that includes astroawani.com.
Syarikat penerbangan tambang murah Capital A Berhad sedang mencapai kemajuan ketara dalam cadangan pelupusan perniagaan penerbangan bernilai 6.8 bilion ringgit kepada AirAsia X Berhad dengan semua persetujuan yang diperlukan dijangka diterima menjelang akhir Februari 2025. Berhubung status Nota Amalan 17 PN17, kumpulan itu sedang menunggu tarikh mahkamah untuk pengesahan mengenai cadangan pengurangan modalnya. Penganalisis kekal optimis terhadap pendapatan YTL Corporation Berhad, CGS International Research meramalkan perkembangan kumpulan itu akan disokong oleh potensi kemenangan kontrak projek infrastruktur. YTL mencatat keuntungan bersih yang lebih rendah sedikit sebanyak 580 juta ringgit, mencerminkan pendapatan asas sesaham sebanyak 5.26 sen bagi suku kedua berakhir 31 Disember 2024. Hasilnya bagaimanapun meningkat sebanyak 7% tahun ke tahun kepada 8 bilion ringgit berbanding 7.53 bilion ringgit pada suku yang sama tahun sebelumnya. Untung bersih Sime Darby Berhad bagi suku kedua berakhir 31 Disember 2024 menyusut 86.7% kepada 305 juta ringgit berbanding 2.29 bilion ringgit setahun lalu kerana keputusan tahun lepas dirangsang oleh keuntungan sekali sahaja daripada penjualan Ramsay Darby Care. Hasil kumpulan bagi suku tersebut meningkat 14.2% kepada 17.7 bilion ringgit berbanding 15.5 bilion ringgit pada tahun kewangan sebelumnya. Laporan penuh di saluran 501 dan astroawani.com serta daganus.com.
Baik, seterusnya umat Islam perlu merangkul usaha untuk membina kekuatan ekonomi serta menguasai kecerdasan buatan AI dan teknologi digital seiring menghadapi persaingan dunia yang sengit dan mencabar. Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim pada masa sama menegaskan umat Islam perlu menyeimbangkan kemajuan teknologi dengan nilai-nilai kemanusiaan, akhlak dan ihsan seperti yang ditekankan dalam gagasan Madani.
Katanya Imam Masjid Al-Aqsa Sheikh Dr. Ikrimah Said Sabri sewaktu menyampaikan tausiah bertajuk kedudukan Al-Quds dan Al-Aqsa di sisi Islam, mengupas sejarah agung kota Al-Quds yang menyaksikan kebesaran Allah SWT melalui peristiwa Isra' dan Mi'raj. Katanya ketokohan Umar Al-Khattab sebagai seorang khalifah yang adil dan diberi penghormatan membuka kota Baitul Maqdis turut disentuh dan dikongsikan bersama hadirin. Pada masa itu, kota Al-Quds menjadi saksi tatkala Bilal bin Rabah kembali mengalunkan azan selepas 5 tahun kewafatan Rasulullah SAW yang meruntun jiwa para sahabat yang merindui baginda. Terdahulu, Perdana Menteri menyampaikan ucapan pada Majlis Ilmu Madani bersama Imam Masjid Al-Aqsa di Putrajaya pada Isnin. Anwar berkata beliau turut menzahirkan penghargaan kepada Syekh Dr. Ikrimah sebagai seorang daripada tokoh yang menjadi benteng pertahanan umat dalam memperjuangkan kedudukan Masjid Al-Aqsa pada akhir majlis tersebut. Beliau turut mengulangi teguran yang disampaikan semasa berucap di hadapan para ulama dan sarjana Islam dalam persidangan dialog intra-Islamik di Bahrain baru-baru ini mengenai permasalahan umat Islam yang masih direnggut, perpecahan akibat perbalahan isu-isu remeh hingga mengabaikan usaha membangun dan memperkukuh perpaduan umat.
Institusi pengajian tinggi mempunyai tanggungjawab untuk memenuhi agenda pembangunan negara dengan menyediakan bakat dan peluang pekerjaan. Bagaimanapun, Menteri Pendidikan Tinggi Datuk Seri Zamri Abdul Kadir berkata, kerjasama semua pihak adalah penting untuk menangani lanskap pekerjaan yang berubah dengan pantas selain turut memberi tumpuan kepada pembentukan sahsiah kemanusiaan yang tinggi dalam kalangan anak muda.
Oleh yang demikian, peranan itu perlu dimainkan oleh semua dalam memastikan supaya apa yang nak kita sediakan, ya, sebagai contoh yang disebutkan oleh Nazri tadi, perubahan-perubahan yang berlaku di hadapan kita dengan begitu pantas sekali, bidang-bidang pekerjaan yang baru, teknologi yang baru yang diperkenalkan, AI dan sebagainya itu telah mencorakkan satu bentuk pekerjaan atau alam pekerjaan yang baru.
Jelasnya kementeriannya menjalin kerjasama dengan kementerian lain untuk memupuk dan membangunkan bakat secara berkesan, termasuk peruntukan dana bagi memastikan pembangunan pendidikan dan latihan teknikal dan vocational TVET di peringkat asas serta lanjutan.
Sebagai contoh, dalam konteks Kementerian Pendidikan Tinggi, kita duduk bersama dengan Kementerian Pendidikan daripada bawah dan juga kita duduk bersama dengan Kesuma, kita duduk dengan MITI dan juga Kementerian Ekonomi dan MOSTI sebagai contoh. Itu antara kementerian-kementerian yang sangat diperlukan dalam usaha kita untuk membina bakat-bakat kita.
Tambahnya lagi, isu global yang saling berkaitan memberi kesan kepada tenaga kerja di seluruh dunia. Sehubungan itu, institusi pengajian tinggi perlu menyesuaikan diri dengan pantas bagi memastikan bakat baru dilatih dan dilengkapi untuk keperluan masa depan.
Bursa Malaysia Berhad mengumumkan penukaran nama Datasonic Group Berhad kepada NextG Berhad. Saham syarikat itu akan didagangkan dan disebut harga mengikut nama baharu itu berkuat kuasa 9 pagi Khamis 27 Februari 2025. Tiong-Nam Logistics Holdings Berhad menyasar untuk meningkatkan pasaran perkhidmatan logistik dan pergudangan pada 2025 dipacu oleh pertumbuhan hasil yang ketara dan pengembangan rangkaian pergudangannya. Segmen logistik dan pergudangan kumpulan yang menyumbang 95.7% daripada hasil kumpulan melaporkan peningkatan hasil sebanyak 14.7% kepada 607.8 juta ringgit untuk 9 bulan berakhir 31 Disember 2024 berbanding 529.8 juta ringgit dalam tempoh sebelumnya. Inisiatif strategik Tiong-Nam termasuk menambah 2.3 juta kaki persegi ruang perdagangan di 9 gudang baharu di seluruh Malaysia dan Singapura yang dijadualkan siap antara tahun kewangan 2025 dan tahun kewangan 2028. Dua anak syarikat pegangan pelaburan lembaga tabung haji yang beroperasi di United Kingdom mencatatkan kerugian agregat berjumlah 465.18 juta ringgit bagi tahun kewangan berakhir 31 Disember 2023. Menurut laporan Ketua Audit Negara Siri 1 2025, LTH Property Holdings 2 Limited LTHP2 mengalami kemerosotan sebanyak 186.75 juta ringgit, manakala LTH Property Holdings 3 Limited LTHP3 pula merekodkan kesusutan mencecah 278.43 juta ringgit. Dokumen yang diterbitkan Jabatan Audit Negara itu melaporkan bahawa jumlah kerugian tersebut disebabkan oleh kemerosotan nilai hartanah pelaburan dengan turut dipengaruhi oleh faktor perubahan kadar faedah dan inflasi semasa di Britain. Laporan penuh di saluran 501 dan astroawani.com serta naganus.com.
Baik, banyak lagi perkongsian dan perkembangan selepas ini, jadi kita berhenti rehat seketika, kembali selepas ini.
Hidupkan Ramadan dengan pengisian penuh bermakna.
Kasih sayang Allah mentakdirkan sesuatu dengan kuasanya.
Syukuri nikmat kurniaan yang Maha Esa.
Kami dah ajar Mak mengaji.
Berdoa pula dalam solat kita makbul, insya-Allah.
Terokai keindahan dan keunikan pelbagai budaya untuk dijadikan sebagai inspirasi.
Ada pengorbanan banget. Yang penting berkah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Perkongsian tips masakan bersama selebriti terkenal.
Life is beautiful and you're beautiful too.
Drama yang penuh emosi untuk dijadikan iktibar.
Hani sudah, Hani kena minta maaf.
Baik buruk you sekarang, I terima seadanya.
Cinta tu kan daripada hati.
Agama tu tiang hidup kita.
Ramadan ini indahnya lain macam bersama Astro.
5 lelaki penghantar makanan didakwa di Mahkamah Magistrate Bangi atas tuduhan membunuh seorang pemandu kereta lelaki dalam satu kejadian.
4 sungai di sekitar kawasan perindustrian Pasir Gudang di Johor termasuk Sungai Kim Kim didapati tercemar dan berada pada tahap yang membimbangkan. Kerajaan sudah mulakan inisiatif untuk menggantikan kenderaan operasinya kepada kenderaan elektrik EV dalam skala kecil terlebih dahulu.
Uniform Tentera Darat Malaysia TADM bagi peserta program latihan khidmat negara tidak seharusnya menjadi isu hangat.
Jenayah penipuan pelaburan mencatatkan jumlah kerugian tertinggi pada tahun ini setakat 2 Februari lalu.
Kementerian Pendidikan memandang serius isu peningkatan trend penggunaan rokok elektronik.
Lembaga Lebuh Raya Malaysia LLM memperluaskan larangan kenderaan berat memasuki lebuh raya pada waktu puncak di beberapa jajaran terpilih di sekitar Lembah Kelam.
All right, thank you for tuning in on Niaga, AWANI. And right now we're going to talk about on where the world is undergoing a rapid transformation with artificial intelligence or AI at the forefront of innovation. But while the technology is evolving at a breakneck speed, the question remains, are we developing the right talent to keep up? And Malaysia has been making strides in STEM education, but industry demands are shifting. And a degree in STEM education doesn't necessarily mean the same thing as it did a decade ago. And the question now is, how do we ensure our graduates are future ready? And beyond that, what are the key indicators of an AI-ready economy? So to help us unpack these pressing questions, we're joined by two distinguished experts, which is Rushdie Abdul Rahim, the President and Chief Executive Officer, Malaysian Industry Government Group for High Technology MITE, and also Muhammad Feroz Asnan, member of Board of Directors, University Technology Petronas, UTP. Thank you so much for joining me this morning on our studio on Niaga, AWANI this morning. Perhaps, how are you guys?
Good.
Amazing.
Yep. Thank you.
Maybe we could start firstly to assess the current landscape. Can help me enlighten on where do we stand in terms of skill development and STEM education right now at this moment? Are we on track, or is there a gap between policy and also reality?
Well, we're headed in the right direction. But I think one of the things that we pride ourselves in Malaysia is actually there's this dissatisfactory with regards to trying to improve ourselves. So hence, the signs are there that we're moving there, but are we moving fast enough? Now, with regards to STEM talent, I think the issue is global. But however, in terms of Malaysian context, this is where we would like to have conversation about this. I think talking about AI and industry, I think a lot of people don't know. For the last 10 years, Malaysia is among the top 12 countries in terms of high-tech exports. And the last 2 years, we're number 9. Now, how do we keep this up? How do we improve? Now, is there talent, specifically high-skilled workforce? Now, according to the Department of Statistics, a developed country will need about 50% high-skilled workforce. At present, we're hovering about 30. So, what do we do? As we prepare for the future, one, we're talking about the current workforce. How do we transform them? Second, of course, somebody from UTP is here. How do we prepare the future workforce? So those are the challenges that we're going to face in the future.
Perhaps Mr. Feroz want to add something?
Yeah, I just want to pick up on the last point. Kan? As a university, we are supposed to prepare talent not just to enter the job market, but to be relevant throughout his or her career journey. That's 30, 40 years, right? And this is where, if you look at the way we've been teaching our students, it has not changed that much since I was a student. Whereas the landscape is changing. Just like we as a consumer expect better products from a car manufacturer or TV manufacturer. The same with the employers. So they expect talent to be up to date with the emerging technology. And secondly, when I started my career, there's only the government and a few MNCs. There's not much of a what I call startup or SMEs. But today, if you look at the employee landscape, you get different shapes and sizes. Of course, the MNCs are there, government is there, but you got the startups, the SMEs, and while in the past you can enter into job market and expect companies to train you up to be job ready, now the university has that obligation to do that. When it says job ready, is not only to what they call it to join the workforce, but to be running. What I mean by that is that over and above the ability, take for example an engineer, and I'm an engineer, and today we expect more from an engineer, not just to solve problems, but to be working alongside other disciplines, right? Because a lot of issues today, doesn't only require technical solution, but a complete solution. So, like Cik Rosie said, we are heading into the right direction, but we need to be mindful what more we need to do.
So basically we're on the right trajectory, positive trajectory, but a lot more can be done. But over the years, industry expectations for STEM graduates have evolved, and it's no longer just about technical knowledge. It's about critical thinking, adaptability, and also interdisciplinary skills, which are now just as important as well. So from your perspective, Mr. Rushdie, how has this shift changed hiring and workforce development strategies?
That is why I think at MIT we advocate a hands-on approach. The idea is the word turun padang. We advocate our partners to actually generate this interest in STEM beyond just mere CSR, because a lot of organizations previously, what they treat as this turun padang as CSR, getting children to be involved in STEM. Because now, the thing about this, if we talk about the future, there needs to be a sustainable supply of talent. By the time they reach the workforce, unfortunately, or by the time they reach the university, it will be too late. So they need actually to look at even the primary school. Now, again, a lot of it has been done. The Ministry of Science does tackling pigs and things like that. All is fair, STEM fair is well and good to generate interest. But I like the fact that this movement that's happening. For example, in Kulim High Tech Park, all the tenants, which is high-tech companies, actually they organize the tech fair, whereby they invite students and parents. That's very important, because sometimes people forget that parent is part of the STEM value chain.
Correct.
They will be trying to influence children what career path to choose. So hence, people will come to the tech park and see that, okay, this is what the job entails, this is what is needed, and this is what the career path in certain areas. The same goes for Cyberjaya Innovation Week, for example. Again, a lot of companies in Cyberjaya open their doors and allow children and parents to come into their premise and see what's happening. Now, this is good. And I like to touch also in the last one, again, another company in Cyberjaya called Turkish Aerospace, where they open up the doors for, I think, about 30 Malaysian students to actually undertake apprenticeship in Turkey, paid by the Turkish government, for them to actually see what's really happening on the ground and to generate those interests. So I think those are things that I think should be emulated by a lot of other companies, because due to the fact that, again, what they are trying to do, you can say for selfish reason, is actually to ensure, like what Turkish Aerospace is doing, to ensure that I get the first right of refusal with regards to the talent pipeline that's coming in. So hence, the interest is generated from primary school to the parents, up to universities, and hopefully to the workforce.
Perhaps something you can say from the institutions itself?
Well, I mean, both institution and also from the industry, because in my past life, I used to work for Petronas for 35 years. So Cik mentioned about interest in STEM, right? So there is perception that STEM is complex and boring. But we need students to be studying STEM because this is where we make a difference. I'm not saying the non-STEM are not important, but we need a good mix. I think government has said that the good ratio will be 60-40. 60-40. And today we're about 50 point something, right? So we need to get the numbers up. We need, to do so, we need to make science, technology, engineering, mathematics interesting. So they need to be curious, because a lot of the challenges that we face today requires people who are curious enough to solve it. Because whatever is being taught in universities today will be outdated in years to come, right? So what are we actually educating? We're actually educating or conditioning them to have that critical thinking and also that design thinking. If you take the word engineer, sometimes people think the word engineer comes from the word engine. Not quite. It comes from a Latin word called ingenium, which basically translates to ingenuity, to create, to make things better, to have better schemes. So the students that we ought to be training is for them to have this desire to make things better. This is where in universities the focus not so much content, because content will be outdated, but training the thinking skills. Because if they have that, when they enter job market, they have the right mindset. And it's a growth mindset because they know where to find answers in collaborating with other disciplines. So if one is a mechanical engineer, he or she can work with a civil engineer or even an electrical engineer. Because like I said earlier on, the world needs a complete solution, because the world works in systems, not just works in specific discipline.
Correct, because we always talk about future-proofing the workforce,
exactly.
But the future is no longer some distant concept, and those are the kind of skill sets that actually separate tomorrow's workforce and today's. So let's talk about AI deeply, which is often seen as the next frontier of economic growth. But what does an AI-ready economy actually look like? Perhaps Mr. Rushdie can help us understand this better. And are we measuring AI adoption correctly? Or should we be looking at a deeper connection there?
Well, the idea is actually AI is an enabler, again. Taking from Mr. Firo's take just now, we're talking about the future is about making things better and better things. So AI is seen as assisting this. I think the conversations around AI is actually we don't want AI to take over, but AI to make things easy for us. So hence, again, you see that the AI Declaration Forum in Paris previously, again, they were talking about how do we safeguard the use of AI against untrustworthiness elements. So I think in terms of measuring AI success is actually measuring productivity, just like any other technology. Because due to the fact if you use AI, we should be able to actually get that free time, because AI is doing that, and do something else, hence become more productive. But if just to take an anecdote, we don't want to be like the movie WALL-E, where we become fat and sit and sip drinks and not do anything. So the idea is actually, hence the conversation with regards to critical thinking. In mind, we promote the idea of deep generalists. You have sufficient depth, but also general. So how do we create this? So AI is supposed to help us with this. So if AI can't help us to do this, then we are in trouble. And AI is supposed to help with the mundane things. I joke with my lawyer's friend, AI is going to take over the things that the legal profession is going to do. And even at present, we are trying to look at AI in auditing. So AI is assisting, for example, Jabatan Audit Negara or our internal auditors in terms of trying to look for those mundane things. Hence, freeing up these professionals to do better things. So that's the challenge with regards to AI.
Indeed. Because productivity is one area which Malaysia needs to improve. if you look at IMD World Competitiveness Index, kita punya, apa they call it, our scores on productivity is not all that great. So using AI, I think we should stop worrying about AI. Just like before, people, when we introduced internet, people were a bit afraid. But now we live in the world internet. So we should be brave enough to say, okay, this is good. And this will not replace human, because human skills in creativity, having that empathy can't be replaced by AI. But there are things that AI can help us, so that we don't have to, spend hours trying to decipher data. They can help interpret for us. But finally, we will have to make the decision.
And that brings to my next question. Towards this weariness, especially in students, how do you balance this AI adoption at the same time, ensuring that human talent remains at the center of innovation, especially?
Right. Well, I mean, AI can be introduced even in schools, right? With teachers having the AI capability to kind of personalize the learning for that student. It's almost like, I can profile you and what needs do you have in terms of, are you a quantitative person or are you a qualitative person? So if a teacher knows also your learning style, he or she can also tailor-make that learning. And AI now also have the ability to, it's almost that they can let you the knowledge in dosage, right? So okay, if you learn better in the morning, I'll load you the content in the morning rather than in the afternoon, and then we can see progress. So from an educator standpoint, so AI can help the educator. For the student also having access to the world out there using AI, the student can also be empowered. And never mind a lot of content, because the content will be there, but interpreting it, again coming back to the earlier point, sharpening the critical thinking. Yeah.
And perhaps for Mr. Mr. Rushdie, we know that to actually maintain that AI to not replace us, but to help us with mundane things, like I mentioned earlier, the key word is keep up. So perhaps maybe you can share what are the proactive steps should we be taking now to ensure our talent remains relevant and competitive for the longer term.
Well, actually, at present, announcement in the budget talking about our budget, national budget has allocated some funds, major funds into AI research. That's one. I think YTL themselves actually has developed a center in terms of developing this AI center. Pockets of universities are developing that. I know for a fact that a lot of companies are also putting money into research into AI. So the interest is there. But keeping up, that's the thing. Now, I think a few months back, I think about 1 month back, then there's the announcement of DeepSeek, for example. Then suddenly everybody suddenly realizing that you don't need that much money to actually invest in AI research. So I said, because this is an ever evolving door with regards to technology investment. Yeah. So I do think sometimes there's a need to actually take a step back and look and again assess what are your AI needs, because sometimes we fall into the trap with regards to jumping the gun, just because this is a buzzword, then start deploying. Because at the end of the day, each organizations need to understand what is the need for AI in their organization. I think the best case for AI is actually this: you don't realize that it's there. Waze, Netflix.
Yeah, it's
Google,
been there the whole time.
I mean, the AI has been deployed in there, and you don't even realize it. Suddenly, it starts, as you said, profiling. It starts suggesting things to you.
I think the term AI just got introduced.
I mean, in literature, it has been. I think in terms of 19th century, it's already there. And previously, we talk about expert systems, which is a sort of I think. So now, how do we keep up? Well, that's the thing. There needs to be a foundation elements with regards to as Mr. Firoz was mentioning. Foundational, there needs to be students that's ready with regards to the foundation of it, in terms of what requires to develop an AI research. Then, if your foundation is fine, then regardless where AI is being deployed, you could be there. So again, I think there are some universities that actually, rather than talk about applied, but talking about the foundational of it. That's why you can see that suddenly we have opening up of IC design centers. Things actually moving back to, dare I say, back to basics or back to foundation, and that's the idea. Keeping up, I think where based on announcement, based on the MOUs, based on a lot of things are moving in the right direction. However, as I said, I preach caution with regards to how do we ensure that we don't fall into the trap of jumping the gun. That's that tendency as well.
But Mr. Firoz, some might argue that over 50% of students in STEM fields, there's only 50% in STEM fields. Right. So Malaysia is naturally positioned to lead the AI readiness. But the question is enrollment alone a strong enough indicator, or should we be looking at the deeper systemic factors right now?
So that's the quantity, right? Quantity, I think the nice number would be 60. Especially kalau kita wanted to become what they call it, an industrial country. If we want to remain as a services nation, 50 is okay, or even 40 is okay. So, but then there's also a question of quality, right? She mentioned about the foundation, right? So besides the what they call it, cognitive skills, there's also need to be to be overlaid on top of it is the values, ethics. An engineer needs not only to be smart, but to be, to do the right thing, and then to be customer focused, and then and some of this can be inculcated even in primary school, right? At the end of the day, whatever we do, there's a customer at the end of the day, and because things change every other day, then we need to be agile, because not the fittest creature will survive. Is the most resilient that will survive all the era. The dinosaurs didn't survive, but what they call the first one, what are the microbes? Those things survive. So it's the quality. Hence, that's why a bit of promo for UTP here. We have introduced a program called Integrated Engineers for the Future program. So rather than just training the technical skills, we complete the engineer by having the ability to adapt, customer focus, sustainability, value thinking, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about value. Nobody will buy this thing for 15,000 ringgit, right? So it has to be of the right price. And then and also being able to innovate. In Petronas, we have this. One of the cultural belief is, I challenge norms. So norm is not good. Status quo is not good, because that can only buy us 1 or 2 or maybe 5 years. But we will be disrupted. So in order not to be disrupted, we disrupt ourselves by embracing, the technologies that's available today. And when I say we, it's not just the large companies. Even the SMEs should also be embracing AI, right? Parents should also learn about AI so that, allow the kids to use it, but use it in the right way, lah. Because we don't want them to be submitting their papers using AI. Yeah.
Can I take this?
Of course.
I'm not the moderator, but I have because you're talking about the future-ready workforce. Now, again, you're talking about STEM. STEM not sexy. STEM is not sexy. I use the term. Now, if we're talking about future-ready, I'm just going to bring you to these particular facts. For the last 2 years, SPMs, we're not talking about STEM, not at maths, but mathematics. The rate of failure for maths is 23% of the SPM leavers. So about 300,000. Every for the last 2 years, it's about 23%. The one who gets D and E is about 28%. So you're talking about 51% of our SPM leavers, maths is not doing well in maths.
Right.
So, hence,
it's worrying.
So it's worrying. Yeah, exactly. It's worrying.
Right. I used to be studying maths and all the sciences, and this is where we say that it has not changed for the last 50, maybe 100 years. When we were studying, we were not sure where is the application. So hence, when in this new program in UTP, we are turning it around. we bring the problem-based learning into the class. We start the class by saying, this industry A is having this challenge. How can we solve it?
But Mr. Firuz, that's what I said. This is happening at SPM level. By the time they reach you, we're going to have a problem.
It's going to get worse, maybe.
Okay. But problem-based learning can be also incorporated early.
Yes.
So rather than we learn the theory, the formula, and only then final year we do project, we do projects early. And then when we do early, the teacher, the lecturer, who will now also be changing the rule as a facilitator, will inject the principles. Okay, to solve this, you need what? Principle A. How do you calculate it? Okay, here's a formula. But they know what they're solving for, rather than you're given a bunch of formula, but not knowing where to apply. This is where I think we can make STEM sexy again, if we can tell them what is it for.
But this is just one of the many roadblocks in the value chains that's perhaps being the roadblock for this whole STEM industry. So perhaps besides this education and also institution level, what could be the challenges?
Parents, one, because as I said, there needs to be advocacy to the parents. Second is actually, I said, the non-technical thing. I think when I did a presentation with regards to this interest in STEM, there's this banner that proclaimed that become a YouTube influencer, you'll earn 5,000 per month, work part-time, only 2 to 3 hours a day. So how do you compete with that? As I said, how do you compete? So there's one, with regards to parents. Second is actually the job market out there, of course, systemic. And 3, STEM is not sexy and is perceived to be relatively difficult, of course, relatively. So across those value chain, there are challenges, but as I said, that's why I said there is a need for turun padang just now, with regards to, everybody needs to work together, whole of government, whole of nation approach, not sufficient to be, because I do believe with regards to any job that you're doing, there is value if you have basic elements of STEM education there.
So basically, STEM is isn't just about education, it's a multi-party effort at the same time. So a future-ready workforce isn't built overnight as well, and it's a continuous effort that requires agility, collaboration, also foresight. So Malaysia has made a significant progress, as we've discussed today. Staying ahead in an AI-driven world means than just having the right numbers. It's about having the right skills, like both of you mentioned, mindset and also adaptability. So I would like to say thank you so much. A big thank you to Mr. Rushdi Abdul Rahim, also Muhammad Fairuz Asnan, for your invaluable insights and for taking time to speak with me today. It's a very interesting session earlier. So you can find this whole conversation on all of our social media platforms, and that includes astroawani.com.